my name is Larry Meyer, and I want to welcome you to my new series of masterclasses called The Art of Improvisation. Today's topic will be breaking out of the box. Over the years, many players have asked me over and over how they can go beyond just playing in the pentatonic box and play much more musically and less mechanically. And this video is dedicated to addressing how to expand your playing musical style and come up with new creative results. We're going to be taking a lot of examples of phrases that correspond to the blues progression. I just played the blues progression, of course, the famous Blues for Alice, written by Charlie Parker, the Bird. And I just thought it would be a great way to take a look at, a superior blues progression or progressions and use that as a format for allowing to take the line in a new and dynamic direction. So some of these phrases, we will actually be looking at the music itself. I have it both in manuscript and in tablature, so that no matter what instrument you're playing, you can still be able to derive the benefit of it, using the manuscript, or of course, if you're a guitar player, the tablature is done in what I call super tablature, which is not only the tablature, but with the rhythmic notation in conjunction with it, so you can see exactly how the phrase is falling. Now, this is like an infinite topic, and there's so much to talk about, but we want to try to get right to the heart of the matter with all these things. And I'd just like to say that I was very fortunate to have studied with Lenny Tristano. Even though he was a great jazz pianist who actually played and recorded with Charlie Parker, he taught all the instruments, and that's because the basis was musicality, and that all of the instruments, whether it be the voice or the drums or the guitar or the piano or the bass or saxophone, what have you, it became a voice. It became a point of focus and musical expression that the more that you got in tune with it, you would be able to articulate your ideas concisely within the structure of the particular tune. And today's topic is the blues. Now, of course, everybody's familiar with the 1-4-5 blues, which is just the 3 chords, but our blues progressions today are going to be based off of much more alternate and jazz progressions, which I'm going to show you a chart of, and we're going to use so that you can see that the line can travel in a new and interesting direction just because of the actual chords that they're being played over. Another good point is melodies are always stressed as well, because when you learn a lot of melodies, they become phrase vocabulary. And so today we're also going to focus on looking at the piece that I played, which is Blues for Alice, written by Charlie Parker, as a good point of source vocabulary in conjunction with the phrases that we'll be doing as well. So I'd like to get started with that. The first phrase that we're going to do, the idea is going to be breaking out of the pentatonic box in the respect of we're going to mix tonalities. So in other words, you've heard the blues players or whatever, they're playing the same pentatonic or the 5 notes, the root, the minor third, the 4th, the 5th, and the flatted 7th. And there are 5 boxes or fingerings for those, and that's cool. It's a good place to start. But if you're looking to go beyond that, that's really what we're delving into today. Essentially, some of the phrases that we're doing will be mixing tonality. So being the F pentatonic, which is a minor, or like a suspended minor, we'll be mixing the minor 7 and the dominant 7, that would be the Dorian and the Mixolydian, in conjunction with the flatted 5th, and that's going to create a whole new dynamic regarding the content and flavor of the line. So let's get started with that right now. And this first phrase is, we're in an F blues. So what I'm doing is I'm coming in on the end of 3. It's like 1 and 2 and 3. So this first phrase is going to be, I'll play it slow. Now you can hear we're starting on the root with a rhythm. Now the flatted 5th, the B, so a blues resolution. Now you see right here, you've got both the minor and the major third. The minor third, the A flat of the F, being indicative of the minor 7, of course, and the A being the major third, being indicative of the dominant 7. So you get that mixing of tonality that I'm referring to. So coming back up again from the 5th to flatted 7th. Now the octave below, like a little figure on the flatted 5th, minor 3rd to the octave. So now, I think that one of the most important points to be made about all of this, especially when we were talking about these phrases and the melodies as source vocabulary, is that there's a sensibility towards the singing quality of the line. And that's one of the most important things that I or anybody else could ever tell you, is that if you listen to and sing great solos like Charlie Parker, Louis Armstrong, Charlie Christian, Wes Montgomery, Art Tatum, McCoy Tyner, John Coltrane, Eric Dolphy, you know who they are, Joe Pass. In other words, great players, or whatever you think is great, and you sing out and articulate those ideas, you are now developing a sensibility towards phrasing and lyricism that you really can't get any other way. And that's why it's important that we look at some of these phrases and begin to matriculate them and assimilate them into your playing, as well as the melodies. And of course, the more of an arsenal of those that you have, the more of a deeper well that you're going to have to draw upon to arrive at your own unique combinations as a result of that musical and melodic information. So what happens is that in your head, you're singing the phrase. So in other words, I'm actually scatting. It's called scat singing, but you don't have to do it verbally, but you need to do it in your mind, because that's the connection between the musicality and your fingertips. So you're actually getting your fingertips to reproduce what it is that you're singing in your head. So as opposed to playing something mechanically, just like da-da-da-da-da-da, you're just playing something mechanical, you're actually singing a blues phrase or whatever it is, a melody. See, now, I'm scatting it out using syllables representing the notes, but even if I'm doing it silently in my head, that's what's going on. I'm singing. That's working against that chord. And you can hear we got a mix of both the minor 7 and the dominant. Okay, and we'll be looking at those music with both the tablature and the manuscript, so that you can get into that and actually perceive on the neck, if you're playing the guitar, where those connections are occurring. In this first particular phrase, what's happening is, instead of just being in the root position of F, I'm going to the relative A flat major, because we refer to that as primary substitutes, and there are a number of them. And of course, we're going to be discussing them as we go along. And this is one of the first ones where, since you know that the tonal center of blues is minor, or minor 7, so the F minor becomes relative to the A flat major. That puts me up into a scale of a 6th position of an A flat. But now, out of that A flat, an A flat 6 is a relative F minor. So I'm actually defining the chord in the context of the scale of that position that corresponds to the underlying chord change. All right, so you're always singing, so that's what's going on in your head. And of course, that ties in with the rhythm as well. All right, so with the forms that I've been referring to, and I think this is a very good point, we're going to be showing the actual scale forms that correspond to what I'm discussing, and those are going to be on diagrams, which you'll see. And of course, you've got the major. I'll just run those down for you so you can see them. You got the major scale. This would be like an A flat major. As a root 6, meaning the 6th string, 2 octave, and then the relative F minor, down 3 frets. Now do the same thing, F minor on the 5th string. And then the relative A flat major on the 5th string. So in other words, that's 1st position, 4th position, 8th position, and 11th position, which can now be brought 8 VA, which means up an octave, into the 13th position, and then A flat becomes the 16th position. And that's about, I can get a little bit of this, but so you can see even within a 2-octave context, you can bridge the entire neck together just with relative majors and minors. Of course, there's much more, but that's why we're beginning to discuss all of this. The other set of scales that would be absolutely necessary to discuss today to explain some of these phrases would be the 2-5 relationship between the minor 7 and the dominant 7. In this case, it's going to be an F minor 7, and this would be the scale that you're going to see on the diagram. Now that's a 2-5 to B flat 7 in the key of E flat. 2, 5, 1. So now I can do the same thing on the 5th string, F minor 7, which is 2, 5 to the B flat 7 on the 6th string. So those of course just the scale forms, and of course you need to be familiar with them, but then you have to jam on them to get them to gel, which is really what this is all about, to get the more colors happening in the context of your playing in conjunction with these phrases. These also have arpeggios that correspond to them, and I might as well touch upon them right now. The F minor 7 arpeggio, and that's going to be seen on the diagram as well, relative to the A flat major 7 arpeggio. Take it up an octave to root 5, F minor 7 arpeggio. Relative to A flat major 7. Now the same thing is true for the arpeggios that correspond to the 2-5 relationship. And of course these are all independent topics that we could spend a whole class on talking about, but I'm just touching upon it now so you have the basic information so you can begin to jam on it and achieve some results for yourself. So now the F minor 7 arpeggio in the context of the 2-5 relationship, which are referred to as substitutes, meaning that you can use either the scale or the arpeggio to create phrases out of over the progression that we'll be playing over today, which is the F jazz blues. So here's the 2-5, F minor 7, which is 2-5 to a B flat 7. Same thing on the 5th string, F minor 7. 2-5 to the B flat 7 on the 6th string. So it's almost like in music you have different colors. You have the color of major, you know, the color of its respective relative minor. See, but you can still make it sound bluesy, but it's more like a country blues. So since I'm playing in F, F major is relative to D minor. So I play in the D minor and I've got that country blues kind of sound. As opposed to superimposing or sticking on top of the minor 7, which is either relative to the A flat major, 3 frets up from the minor on either the 6th or the 5th strings. And see, you can get that much more bluesy sound. Or the 2-5 relationship between the minor 7 and the dominant 7. So I'm tying those together right now. And of course, you might say, well, that's easy for me to say. But the truth is that as you jam on these things a lot and you hear and see some of the potential connections on the fingerboard, it's really going to open up your playing. And that's why it really is worth mentioning. All right, I'd like to thank everybody for coming by today. It's great to see you. I hope you enjoyed this series of The Art of Improvisation. Today's topic, breaking out of the box, as much as I did. And look forward to seeing you again real soon.